No, there ain't no stopping us. Fly without boarding pass. Couldn't catch me, I be moving fast. Call me a shooting star. Let 'em know who you are. Flying up in a bar. Wish on a star. Time to show 'em who's in charge. Call me a shooting star. Didn't even get to cross. I said I'm moving too far. Get to glass. Looking at a shooting star. Got more than a couple of people going mad. I swear they're rooting hard. Tell them I'd be big in the game like she went and got them breast implants. I said I'm moving too fast, didn't even get to glance. I'm ready to eat up track like I'm seated in a restaurant. If you had swag like mine, you know it's best to flaunt. We aren't hating because you aren't shining like it's neon, rock like kings of Leon. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, then I just have to leave. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, then I just have to leave. Yeah, shoot. Yeah, shoot. Yeah.
Sound. Let's try it now. Yes. Okay, it's the built-in mic. I need to switch that. Doing that. Here we go. Okay, that is the better sound. Okay, I don't know. And I had all kinds of errors today. Every once in a while, Restream doesn't work. It gave me the wrong titles. It kept interrupting my stream. I had Streamus Interruptus, apparently. Shit happens. I don't let it freak me out. But then a lot of people don't have the proper links, which sucks. But let's get started. I'm getting ready to do puts a little bit more light on. Yeah, a Cult of RONR marathon with Mike Seebeck. So I'm getting ready. And yes, I do know I've got this on the side of my face. Ladies will know what this is. I'll give the ladies a minute to guess what this is. They all will probably know. I'll give you a minute. And I'll let you know, okay? But before we get started, boy, is this a topic, isn't it? Yeah. I need to pull up my overlays here. Oh, here are my overlays. I'm still waiting for someone to guess what that is. It's a very common occurrence. But before we get started on that, here is my Patreon. I do have to do my shameless grifting. Let me take a sip of soda. If you are not yet a patron, please consider doing so. Exactly. It's a curling iron burn. I knew all the women would know. My God. And you know how nasty that gets. It's been there for about a week now. It's painful. Oh, God, yes. Anyway, the men are all like, what is it? What is it? Okay, there's my Patreon. I usually set a monthly goal, for channel growth. And I think I'm about $20 away from the monthly Patreon goal, which is recurring. You know, it helps me plan. This is my job right now, so yeah, that really does mean a lot. And there has been more bonus content. We're going through Radicals for Capitalism, which seems to be a pretty, did I assume your gender? I am so sorry. But Radicals for Capitalism appears to be a very popular book on my Patreon only content, and it is truly fascinating. I hope to record another segment tonight where we're talking about the influence of Austrian economics on the early libertarian movement. Also, yeah, we have our private Discord server, and that is starting to hop, where we are having some more inside baseball discussions, and you guys could hear what's going on in my life and where some things I am thinking of, which is going on, you know, for potential future show topics. So I do encourage you to become a patron if you can. That is where I'm going to be taking some of my more personal discussions, so they're not weaponized against me on social media the way they have been. And for whatever it's worth, today I got verified on MeWe. I don't know what that's worth. I don't know whether everyone gets verified, but I'm a blue check mark on MeWe for whatever that means. They invited me to. Of course, they could be doing that to everybody. I don't know, but I am going to feel special. Whether or not I should, I am going to feel special. Also, let's remove the... Oh, and there's going to be more on words hurting. I'm going to be doing an episode tonight, which might be spicier than I originally intended. We're going to find out later this afternoon. Also, I've got merch, and I love my merch. I've got my Mudacorum, we've got the Notice shirt, and we also got the Grab the Pine, Get the Quills shirt. And there's going to be more coming because I like t-shirts. So please consider, and I don't know why my nose is running today. It's cold in here. And I couldn't figure out how to close the window. Don't even... I know that sounds really dumb, doesn't it? That I couldn't figure out how to close the window. We've got like these really sophisticated window locks. And look at these nails. There's not much I can do with fiddling around with locks with these claws. So without pulling a nail off, which I wasn't going to do. So I couldn't figure out how to close the window. And Wayne's not here to close the window, Wayne. He wasn't here to do that. So please consider my merch. There will be more forthcoming. It does help support the show, along with all of the other various options in the low bar. I added something to, I think I added it to my Amazon wish list. If I haven't, I'll do it after the show. I am now doing like a kind of sort of documentary. It will be out in months because I am filming my campaign basically, and just the activism I'm doing along the way. So all of these conventions and stuff we go to, there will be clips, okay? And I need a body harness for this. Well, actually, me and Wayne, we're going to use the same one because he's going to be filming me a lot. And I think I put it on the Amazon wish list. The body harness I have now, the boobs kind of point the camera down all the time. Oh, yes, boob problems. I know the Itty Bitty Titty Club cannot, you know, relate to this one, but when you got a pair of double D's on there, so you put the body harness here and then it keeps flipping the camera down. So I need a better body harness, and if I didn't put it on my wish list yet, I will put it on today. If someone could pick that up, that would be so fantastic. But you know, if not, somehow I'm gonna have to either fundraise or work it into my budget for my documentary. Yes, I am getting all pretentious with my documentaries. Let's take this off the screen. What else do I have to say before we get started? There's going to be kind of a very long intro to these clips, but there was a clip I know what I forgot. These shows are actually my best super chat shows for some reason, and I am a shameless whoring grifter, so, you know, feel free to super chat, I guess is what I'm saying. Truly, see, look, Larry. Thank you, Larry. Right away, I'm whoring myself out, and thank you. And I will be posting more on MeWe now that I'm a blue check mark and I can feel important. Oh, God. Okay. Where am I at? Where am I at? Oh, the Last Liberty Boudoir. There's a clip I forgot to add. So before we get into the Dave Smith, Jason Stapleton, Lions of Liberty show, I want to play this stray clip so I could get it out of my folder. This has absolutely nothing to do with Dave Smith and Jason Stapleton. I don't even remember what the clip is about, but I'd like to play it and talk about it. I know it's ContraPoints, so we'll see. And I love ContraPoints, even though, okay, that's one of the content creators I like from the left. I like content creators from both the left and the right. And I actually would like to do some more like very dramatic ContraPoints style shows. And I'm working towards that. Some of the stuff I need for that is actually in my Amazon wish list. There's some funny stuff in my Amazon wish list, and it's all for the show, even if you can't directly see how it's related. Some of it is props for future, like, more dramatic styles, because I'm not dramatic at all. No, not at all. So let's play the ContraPoints clip. Then I'll do the longer intro I need to what's really bothering me about this new quote unquote post-libertarian movement. But let's do this stray clip and then we'll get into that. And I'm going to start painting my face like a painted whore. All right, here we go.
In general, I'm suspicious of envy as a motivation for politics. Because remember, the basic logic of envy is, if I can't have it, then no one can. Which is a purely negative, destructive style of thinking. It's taking privileges away, not for the material benefit of the underprivileged, but merely for the psychological satisfaction of the envious person. And that's even worse when you consider that envy is subjective. It doesn't necessarily target objective power and privilege. So envy in politics is not by any means relegated to the left. Conservative politics is brimming with envy. Like in this debate about forgiving student loan debt, you often hear people say, I had to pay my student loans, so they should too. Debt forgiveness is not fair. The logic here is, since I didn't get my student debt forgiven, no one should. It's intergenerational envy, which is a pretty common thing. Usually older generations envying the young. Kids these days have it so easy. When I was young, we ate nails for breakfast and sent text messages on the Pony Express. The feeling is basically, it's not fair that kids these days don't have to suffer like I suffered. Or think about the concept of a welfare queen, which openly reeks of envy and white resentment. Or the way conservatives talk about immigration, it's all this envious suspicion about illegal immigrants sneaking in and getting government handouts without having to pay taxes. I had to work hard for my money, so why should these people get a free ride? Not that that's what being an illegal immigrant is actually like, except in the imagination of people who envy them. Envy.
Okay. I now know why I had that clip, and I'm hoping you all saw some of the really terrible leaps in logic. And I normally like ContraPoints, but boy, was that a hot take, wasn't it? Particularly on the student loan things. There may be some people who are ordinarily fans of big government who might not want to forgive student loans because of the envious reasons. She said, I didn't get my student loans forgiven, so neither should they. But that is such a terrible take for the reason most people are opposed to it. Or at least, I don't even want to say most, I haven't done a survey, but a lot of people are opposed to it. It isn't that my student loans weren't forgiven, so neither should theirs. It's like, why should I have to pay for this? It isn't envy. It's how dare you steal from me? There's a big difference. It's so easy to paint the opposition to student loan forgiveness as evil in some way if you just say it's naked envy rather than righteous outrage that you're going to steal from me to pay for this debt. Debt that was all encouraged by very terrible government programs that then made the loans to the colleges completely risk-free so that they jacked up the costs. It's not envy, it's outrage. And there is a difference. Some people, again, may be motivated by envy. But most people are motivated by, you made a bad decision and took on this debt, sometimes for a degree that isn't even worth anything in the real world, and now I have to pay for it? That is not envy. That's outrage. Now, there might even be some righteous envy. For instance, I never took out a college debt because I knew I couldn't afford to repay it. So to look back on potential lost opportunity that I had in my life because I made a responsible decision, and now we're rescuing other people from irresponsible decisions, I think that might be some mixture of righteous envy and outrage. So I think ContraPoints had it completely wrong there, and completely unfair demonization. So now I remember why I was really upset that I forgot that clip. That is, I think, important here. And again, I don't normally dislike ContraPoints takes, but that was a shitty take, okay? There's no other way around it. Now, let's get to the intro. And while we're doing the intro, I need to put on my foundation. Oh, and I see JJ. I am doing Cult of R.O.N.R. That's why I am filming myself getting dressed up like a painted whore. Because I'm going to whore myself on Cult of R.O.N.R. for plenty of pornographic Roberts. Okay. Now, to intro this Jason Stapleton, Dave Smith clip. Now, I got raked over the coals a little bit on Twitter today, and some of it wasn't unfair. So, I'm going to confess some sins here. First of all, I have some bones to pick with Jason Stapleton that have nothing to do with what he said on this show. I have some personal grudges that might influence my decision and cause me to be unfair to him. So I'd like to get this all out. One, for those of you who don't know, before he got on this whole wealth, power, and influence, and I'm sorry, this has nothing to do with any personal issues I may have with him. I just find that title just so white cringy, okay? It's, God, I just hate that title. And the way he repeats it over and over and over as a buzz phrase makes me think, he's got it as a centerfold that he faps to, okay? But he used to be just your popular libertarian content guy, kind of like a Dave Smith. And his show was very good, I thought. He always had an arrogant, patronizing attitude. Always thought he had the answers to everything. And if only we followed his prescription, we would be successful type thing. But he did have great ideas. So some of his arrogance, I don't think the Messiah figure type arrogance was justified, but some of the arrogance was well justified because he had very good ideas and he was a very good communicator. So I really enjoyed his show. And he had quite the cult following that was very dedicated to him. And he cultivated this following, and he made these people think we were going to start like these little liberty cells and have this revolution. And then I don't know what happened in his personal life. And here's where I got raked over the coals a little bit on Twitter, and not completely without merit. Because I do tend to think you don't bring people's families into things. But I'd like to clarify that. When I say you don't bring people's families into things, how do I qualify this? I don't think you should bring up feelings that a child may be having about their father into things. But I don't think it's entirely irrelevant when somebody holds themselves out, like, say, pastors do, as this family values type person, to point out that they don't live family values in their personal life. I don't think that's quite the same as dragging somebody's family into things, but it does get very close to that line. So I do see why I got criticized on Twitter for saying that Jason painted himself as this conservatarian who was very much about Western culture requiring or elevating this sort of very family values type thing. And then he turned out to be a guy who, for reasons I don't know, I do know his wife's side of the story, left his family and went off to California. Next thing you know, from all intents and purposes, shacking up with a younger woman that seemed to just be the typical middle-age crisis story. And I got raked over the coals for that, saying that was an unwanted intrusion into his personal life. And you want to know what? I think that could be somewhat fair. I will take that criticism. However, I will qualify it with the fact that it didn't come from nowhere, because he did promote this very wholesome, we need to not promote quote unquote degeneracy, even though we're libertarians, and here's my wonderful family type thing. But fair enough, I'm never going to mention that again. That was a fair enough criticism. I don't know the full story. Okay? But I can say, I don't care what opportunities there are out there. You don't move to a different state away from your kids. You just don't do that. I'm sorry. To me, that's a character flaw. You're a father, you got kids. Even if the mother is horrid, you be there for your kids. And moving to another state, you ain't there for your kids. Okay? That could apply to a lot of you guys in the audience, and that's okay. We're not perfect. I've done shitty things too. But I'm going to take that criticism to heart, because I don't like really intruding into people's personal lives. I do think it's a fair criticism, but it's the last I'll say about it. I'm only saying about it now to give you the background as to why I don't particularly like Jason personally. But the other reason I don't like him personally, I will continue to mention. He cultivated this very loyal following. As I said, people who were really hitching their wagon to this guy. And he cultivated this. And then he abandoned them, basically, and he treated them like shit. And a lot of those people were friends of mine. And they felt very betrayed by his just cutting them off with no explanation and just treating them like a tissue that you used. I was looking at that, and discarded. That is a criticism I will continue to make. I will not make the family criticism anymore. I take that criticism to heart. I don't think I was being hypocritical, but I do think I straddled the line there. And when I'm even potentially wrong, I'll acknowledge it. Leave that between him and his wife. I've said my piece. I'm done. But I do think the fact that I'm very loyal to my friends, and he hurt my friends, is something I continue to hold on to. Okay. Now, I wanted to get that out of the way to give you guys fair warning that some of my personal dislikes may color my objectivity in critiquing his comments. Okay. So that was more to let you know my biases. Okay. Because I am definitely biased. I really like Dave, and now, out of respect for Dave and Jason are good friends. When I heard about how Jason helped Dave when Dave was, working on even building his brand even more, that kind of softened me towards Jason a bit, because I like Dave a lot, and Dave's a friend of mine, and I'm very loyal to my friends. And when I heard about how Jason helped Dave, that helped my opinion elevate a little bit. And in this show, I don't want to disrespect Dave by being unfair to somebody Dave is fond of. There's all these overlapping relationship circles that we have to navigate. So I completely respect that Dave and Jason are good friends, and I'm going to respect that friendship throughout the rest of my critique, now that that part of the intro is done. Now the rest of the intro. Jason has now found himself the messiah and hero of another movement. I have a feeling that he tends to need to have that kind of position. Some people say that of me. I don't feel that way, because I get very uncomfortable in having people look up to me too much, because I realize that I am going to disappoint them badly. But there's now this quote-unquote post-libertarian movement. I never care for not libertarians. Well, sometimes I don't care for libertarians. I don't care for movements that paint themselves as like their very identity is being the opposite of something or being in opposition to something. It's like these atheist movements that really only exist to like oppose Christianity. Like it just kind of is like weird. It's like I don't think being the dark side or the antithesis of something is particularly helpful. And I see like now maybe this new post-libertarian whatever will yeah, I don't know what Larry's saying, but it's funny. I don't know what it means, but it's funny. Now maybe they'll grow into an identity of their own that's not merely an identity that's not this, you know what I'm saying? Um, and I think the term post-libertarian is kind of deceptive because they still are libertarians. They're more post-political libertarianism, and that's not original at all because the non-voting voluntarists were there long before. Okay, just getting some powder on my face here. But it seems like these people are living just to criticize that which they came out of. And in that way, they remind me of bitter atheists a lot. Not all atheists are bitter. There's some atheist channels I really, really enjoy. But, you know, when somebody feels like, I don't know, reformed smoker is another thing. It's like they exist just to be dicks to the movement they came out of in some way. And I don't care for that. I don't think it's a good look. And I think Jason is still in that stage. And I'm going to psychologize here a little bit, and it might not be fair. But this is my opinion. My opinions might not always be fair, as the LNC will tell you. They don't think my opinions are fair. But here's my well-grounded opinion from being a follower of Jason Stapleton for a long time. I feel like he thought he had, and he very well may have, this program for this is how you market liberty. Anyone who listened to his show back when he was doing that knows he was always, if only the LP would hire me as their marketing consultant, and I could make this and that. And he had the answers to everything, or he thought he did. And I feel like he felt like he was rejected by the political libertarian movement at large. They never took him up on it. They never wanted to hire him for this or that. And he got a little ass mad. And he's a little bit like a spurned lover. So since I am taking my ideas and my ball with me, and now I am just going to shit on this movement that rejected me. Goodbye, cruel political movement type thing. That's the vibe I get from Jason. He's a spurned messiah. I don't necessarily get that vibe from some of the other post-libertarian people, such as the Kingpill guy. I get different vibes from him. But from Jason, I definitely get that vibe. That could be unfair. This is my personal opinion. It's my gut opinion. I would be interested if other people who have followed Jason for a long time get that same vibe. Okay, so that's the long intro where I don't really care for the foundational just presupposition of this whole movement as being not this rather than what they are. Again, to me, mark it on what you are rather than what you're not. And I also, I know what else it is. I don't like movements or people that kind of exist to tear down what other people are doing. You know, and it seems like a lot of the persona is just to tear down what, and the voluntarists do this a lot too. They are not satisfied with just being happy with not voting themselves. They got to shit on the people who are still in the political system. And to me, it's like, I don't agree with you guys, but I support what you're doing if only you would return the favor. I think there are many ways to liberty. Many ways to liberty. And I don't mean that in the sense of path to liberty. I kind of say it like many ways to do liberty, I guess is what I'm saying. I'm like using it in the slang term. And, you know, I might think my way is quote unquote better, but it's better for me. right now at this point in my life. It might not be better for you at this point in your life. I think the true liberty movement in general is just so small that it just really rubs me the wrong way to be shitting on what other people are doing. Like, Jason's path is not mine, but I don't shit on him doing it. I just shit on him shitting on people, if that makes sense at all. Okay, let me take a look at comments before we go to the first one. There's not that many clips today, but they're long. And also, I need to put on some blush, so I needed this. And also, I've included 3 additional clips at the end. I'm watching a Kingpill episode 2 that I added some clips on as well at the end. So let me go to comments here, see if there's any to highlight, and we'll see. Okay, let's see here. Shannon says, I feel his is more for profit. Yeah, I could be making more than I currently do. Perhaps I don't resonate as well with Jason because money's never been my motivation for anything in life. And yeah, I get the idea you could be more free with more money, but that assumes everyone's values are the same. And they're not, and that's part of the critique we'll be getting into. Oh, Larry, yeah, my long intros are long. That's what I thought you were doing. And I laugh at myself for that. Yep, and agree here with Shannon. Like, I just don't see the reason. I guess, there's a value I have in life which I don't always exemplify. And I appreciate being called upon out on it when I don't exemplify it. And when I don't exemplify it, it's usually when I'm being a petty bitch. But I don't think you need to raise yourself up by putting other people down. And that seems to me to be the heart of the post-libertarian movement right now, rather than just being them. They raise themselves up by putting other people down. And this Kingpill episode that I'm not done with, because the clip I'm about to extract out, which is still on my computer, it's just them shitting on the Mises Caucus. It's like, why are you picking a fight on the Mises Caucus? Like, I just don't get it. Like, maybe they're trying to get it, they're clout chasing a little bit that way. It does seem to be a little clout chasing to me, but at least with that guy, not Jason. Jason's not clout chasing. Jason doesn't believe anyone has any clout for him to chase. He's a bit too arrogant for that. And listen, I get arrogant in my own way, but the Matt guy is very much clout chasing, I think. Or more so his co-host. I don't know his co-host's name, but that guy really seems to be clout chasing to me. But okay, let's now go with the first clip. And again, they are somewhat long. They're mostly Dave speaking, because I enjoy Dave more than I enjoy Jason. And you could tell what Jason said by the way Dave is responding. Okay? Hopefully that helped. And I'm going to be sticking my blush on.
By the way, to me, increasing your wealth, power, and influence is not the only goal in life. There's lots of different goals in life, and it's hard to dictate what anybody's individual goal should be.
Oh, that was a short one. Derp. I thought they were all long. That's what I just said. I don't like the way these post-libertarian guys, and particularly Jason, are, basically saying what everyone's goal should be. Now, he might think it's silly that I just don't prioritize wealth. And I'll admit it. He can laugh at me. I'm shitty with money. I need to get better. I'm a terrible libertarian when it comes to personal responsibility with money. I'm getting better, and I'm definitely resolved. Like, there's been points in my life, and this is one of them, where I've really hit a lot of rock bottom with compulsion. I'm a compulsive shopper, that I need to get a handle on it. I'm not perfect. I'm not a perfect libertarian. But I don't prioritize wealth, and I never have. It's just not who I am. I prioritize other things. I prioritize relationships. Not saying that you can't be wealthy and have relationships. I'm just saying where I put my attention. And if you aren't putting all your attention on building wealth, you can put your attention elsewhere. That's kind of what he was saying. What Jason does say is, if political action is useless, you're wasting the attention span, because we all have only a limited amount of time in life, that you're wasting time doing that you could put towards building wealth. But he's just assuming that that's a high priority. Now, I understand why he thinks it should be a high priority for all libertarians, because he thinks you build more personal freedom for yourself, the wealthier you are. But again, I think that assumes some things as well. It assumes that one's own personal freedom is one's highest priority. And while it might seem obvious that would be for a libertarian, it isn't necessarily always the case. I mean, there are people who have martyred themselves for freedom. Being dead is not, I mean, maybe you could say that's the freest you could be, even if you don't believe in an afterlife. But, you know, considering how much libertarians in general value their own lives, that is such a great sacrifice. So obviously, that person who martyred themselves for the cause of freedom, and a lot of people in American history have done that, valued something higher. So Jason has always been about wealth. And I think about the position and prestige wealth gives him. And that's fine. But that's not everyone's priorities. And I don't think you can assume it can be. And I do think there are other ways to have personal freedom other than being wealthy. And I mentioned this on Facebook. There are ways, and it might not last for long, but there are ways to escape the government through being very poor. Some people had mentioned that homeless people have more mobility and relative wealth than people who have homes and are drowning in debt. And that is, again, true, because wealth is indeed relative in some way. But of course, I would say they're very unfree in other ways. But there are people in Colorado who have escaped to the mountains and live virtually undetected by the government. I don't think that's going to last for long. But that's another way to give yourself a lot of personal freedom, to disappear within the country itself, live off the grid as much as possible, go out into the wilderness as much as possible. So there are other ways other than just accumulating a lot of wealth. And like, how are you, and I know this is, again, really long commentary, but it will become relevant. Also, you know, Jason just assumes that wealth gives you freedom, but wealth can be taken away from you very quickly by an oppressive state. And he claims, well, I'll just run away to another country. Well, you're assuming you're going to have the opportunity to do that. But when shit goes down, the airports can be shut down. I mean, the ways of escape out of the country can be shut down. People who have been in oppressive countries can tell you that it seems like it's easiest to escape until it isn't. And all the money in the world ain't going to help you then. In fact, all this money might make you a target. So there's downsides to everything, because you can't be very wealthy and fly completely under the radar. Some people find more freedom in flying under the radar. So I just don't think it's quite as simple as he says. Though having a lot of money is nice. I wouldn't, I'm not one of the people who denigrate having a lot of money. I know the lottery is a tax on those who can't do math. But some people do get lucky every once in a while and win the lotto, and I certainly wouldn't thumb my nose up at it. I would love to have millions of dollars. It's just not something I spend a lot of time and attention to. And I also know, kind of like the parables that are in the Bible, what profited a man if, he gains the whole world but lose his soul type thing. And I also saw that my mother scrimped and saved so that she would have, a comfortable retirement, and then she died before she retired. We don't know what the future holds, and there's a balancing act to me. Okay, continuing.
by the way, just to be clear, I also think it's valuable what you're doing. I'm not against what you're doing. I think it's really valuable to get people to increase their wealth, their influence. I think that's a wonderful thing to do. I have no beef with you doing that. I don't have a beef with you like changing your kind of like theme of your show to go do that. My only issue with you, Jason, is that you're attacking my people for what they're doing.
Okay, damn, I thought I had long clips. I guess I was wrong. Again, oh God, that's right around my sore there. Let me just pat there because I can't push. Yeah, that's my beef. I don't care what Jason's doing. And for the people that's valuable to, you know, good on him. But the fact that he has to attack other people and call it caring, you know, because that's what he says. Well, I think they're wasting their time. Okay, maybe they are, and I could see pointing that out, but I think he goes beyond that. But what am I doing here with my face next? Oh, I need to put on my dark contouring. And I'm looking at the time. Okay, next scene.
In terms of what is the best thing you can do in your own life to keep yourself going, it probably depends on the individual and the circumstance.
Come on,
that
just
they're
say
in.
it. Just say it. Just say
What?
it. Just say it's control the source of your income. It's make it mobile. It's rare and
No,
specialized
that's not.
skills.
Well, that's
Just
not
tell
what I was gonna. Yeah, but Jason, that's not what I was gonna say. Like, that's really not even where I was
But
going.
why
with
not?
this.
Then
Like,
what is? Then what is? What is the most important thing that somebody who is concerned about their own liberty and their own freedom can do
forget their own-
today?
But liberty and freedom, you're almost interchanging these words that mean different things. So liberty, in the sense of like your like political negative rights, yes, I mean, there is advantages to having money. Like I said, look, I used to be broke and now I have money. It's better to have money. I'm not arguing that. It's better. Like on
I think we can all
every,
drink to that.
yes,
like a lot better, right, Dave? Like
Yes.
a super lot better.
I
yeah.
completely agree. No one's fighting. My message has never been, guys, having money sucks. Burn all that money. I'm not arguing with you, but at the same sense, it's like it's way better to have a happy marriage than an unhappy marriage. But I'm also not.
That's why you can't read Rothbard in your marriage, you know?
But I'm also not like giving relationship advice because that's just not like what I'm interested in talking about. What I'm interested in talking about are these ideas of liberty and like. But by the way, you could make a strong argument that having a happy marriage is more important than any of this liberty shit because that's going to give you. Hold on, let me just finish because that's going to give you a freer life if you want to use the word freer in that sense. So yes, there are other important things in your own life, but a lot of this like liberty shit that a lot of us are talking about is not simply that we're concerned with ourselves and our own well-being.
Okay, and I think I missed some clips here. So I'm just gonna, because sometimes when I'm doing clips, I'm multitasking because I think something came up before here. But Dave made the point to Dave because Jason keeps saying, well, you're wasting your time with this. And Dave said, I'm waking people up to liberty. And Jason agreed that that is valuable. So I do not see then how Jason can then continue to say, and then putting on my templates for because I have severely hooded eyes. I have to use templates. So Dave's point was, well, if what I am doing and if what the political movement is doing, even if they aren't moving the needle politically, if they're just using the political system and the wide reach and interest there is in politics, which is what the purpose of the Libertarian Party is, whether people like it or not, it's not necessarily to win elections, it's to use the political system to wake people up to liberty, because the political system is uniquely poised to spread a message in a very economical way that is not possible through anything else, because people are uniquely interested in politics and you get a unique platform. For instance, when I had my name on the ballot, when I didn't spend a dime on a campaign, I still got all of these questionnaires from all of the newspapers asking me questions in which I got to basically say, for all kinds of printed media I couldn't afford if I had to pay for it, to say the government sucks. And I got that opportunity only because I was a candidate, and it would have waked some people up for liberty in a way that's not possible any other way. So Dave was basically saying, Jason, you agree that waking people up to the ideas of liberty is valuable. You can do that in an economical, efficient way through politics that you can't do any other way. So you really cannot say that political action is people wasting their time. It just isn't, if it wakes people up to liberty. But Jason would go on to say, but then you're waking them up to liberty only to plug them into the political system. Yeah. And if you do that and it wakes more people up, isn't that valuable? And Jason, I believe it's the next clip, will get kind of mad at Dave, saying, because Dave seems to be insinuating here that Jason is selfish. And I do think Jason is selfish, and I also think you have every right to be selfish, and I don't think it's necessarily a moral failing to be selfish. I don't think that's an insult. Nobody has the right to expect unselfishness from you. I think that's the default human condition, and that there's really nothing morally wrong with it. Now, is it, more, perhaps it's not the most noble, if that's even the right word, but I don't think anyone has any right to expect anything beyond that out of anybody. So, but Jason gets a little butthurt thinking that Dave's calling him selfish, but I think he is, but I'm not importing a negative thing to that. So Jason is basically prioritizing the fact that he thinks selfishness is the highest value, so that if you wake somebody up only to plug them into the political system to wake more people up, they are not achieving their highest goal of personal selfishness, of getting personal freedom. And I think that's what it boils down to. And in a way, I don't think Jason's completely wrong in saying that the person in question who's been woken up should at least know what they're doing. They should know that time put into political activism may indeed wake other people up, but there is an opportunity cost to your own life at perhaps building more wealth and getting more personal freedom. I don't have any problem with those options being presented to people, because there is an opportunity cost. I have a problem with them just shitting on political action. And hold on one sec. I gotta find where'd I put my eyeshadow? Is it back here? Hold on. I don't know where I put my eyeshadow. Wayne moved these boxes, and I don't know where he moved them to. Wayne, oh, here it is. 1 second. It's on the dog bed. No wonder Xena was upset. She's like, get your eyeshadow off of my dog bed. Okay. We're back. We're back. But I hope that made sense, that kind of opportunity cost presentation calculation that I gave there. Because I think in that respect, Jason's being a bit shallow. All right. I think I will put on, this is called Starry Eyes to Hypnotize. Ooh la la. Okay, let me see. I think I only have one more clip from the Lions of Liberty show. And I thought I had more, but then I've got like 3 from Mr. Kingpill, in which, oh my God, these clips were just so freaking annoying. Okay, let's continue here.
Is that it is unfair to position me as someone who doesn't care about other people. Because you made the statement that it's not just about me and creating wealth and power for ourselves, that we also care about other people. I also deeply, as I said before, deeply care about others. And what I get most of the time from people who are advocating for political activism as a way to wake people up, which you and I both know, we've been doing that for 20 years, and it hasn't had much of an impact on anything. no measurable impact, but that aside,
For the individual people, it absolutely has, dude. Dude, you've woken up a lot of people. That has absolutely had a measurable impact on their lives.
if freedom
And I
doesn't
have
increase
too.
by a measure of that, but but again, aside
But
from
that's true
that,
for your strategy as well.
Okay. That I think is I didn't clip as much as I thought I did. Dave just knocked this one out of the park, and I would really recommend everyone watch this whole episode, even though it is infuriating. What Jason said there was so ridiculous, that waking somebody up doesn't have any measurable impact. Really, really, Jason. This is where I'll go back to a parable that is my life parable. Okay. And I've told it before. I'm not going to tell the whole parable here. Y'all can look it up. But it's the starfish story. And the starfish story ends with the sentence, it ends with an exchange between two people where one person says to another, you can't possibly do enough to make a difference. And the rejoinder was, I just made a difference to that one. And perhaps this is why I am just so different from Jason. And I don't measure things, and my husband and I get into this quite a bit too. I don't live by statistics because I don't think numbers make right. And I'm also extremely selfish in some way too, which is why I don't live by statistics. Like, Wayne will ask me, oh, like, how many views did you get on such and such video? Or, anything I'm doing, or like, how many people show up to a meeting type thing. And you want to know what? I don't care. That's never mattered to me. I do what I love. And if other people happen to love it too, great. But even if no one else happened to love it, I would still do it because I love it. I do things for myself first and foremost. So in that sense, I am like deeply selfish. But Jason acting like you have to have this large statistical difference to be relevant is just awful when you're dealing with an individualistic movement, because it's just downplaying that one person. Like, oh, well, you just helped that guy. Well, fuck that. Really? I mean, that's just not, I can't even comprehend that type of mindset. So I'm glad that Dave really, really, he bitch slapped that point, to be honest with you. And when it comes down to things like waking people up, and he's like, well, you haven't had a measurable difference. Well, what would be a measurable difference? If you're talking about changing in laws and stuff, well, you've got to wake enough people up first. It's the cart before the horse thing. You can't say you can't wake people up because it's not having a measurable difference, but the way you get a measurable difference is by waking people up. And I love the way Dave also pointed out, well, your strategy isn't having a measurable influence either if we're going to use your type of measurements that you're using to put me down. Where's your statistics? You haven't even created Gulch yet, which to me would be the wet dream of the type of strategy that Jason is promoting. So now it's funny, I see in chat now they're trying to get me to be Dave's campaign manager. Last I heard, people wanted me to be Dave's running mate, so make up y'all's mind, people. Oh God. Okay, so let me just get this starry eyes to hypnotize finish here. Not so sure I like the color combination I used here, so I'm just going to add a little brown on the edges here. And we are going to blend this all in. So yeah, whoa, I hope I didn't break it, because that was my most expensive palette. Most of my palettes are cheap. That one is, I think, Charlotte Tilbury. Who is it? But it's an expensive as hell palette. Hopefully I didn't break any of it. Let me look. Let me see if I'm going to be heartbroken. No, I didn't. What? Who made this? Let me look at this again. It doesn't even say. Yeah, it's Charlotte Tilbury, the CT on the cover. You want to die? Okay, this was bought when I actually had a job and had money, so do not think I'm being completely irresponsible now. I've had this palette like 4 years. $70 for this frickin' palette. Anyone who knows Charlotte Tilbury, as compared to these big-ass palettes for $10, which is what I get now. But it is super, super nice eyeshadow. I mean, you can tell the difference, the quality difference between expensive makeup and cheap makeup. But anyway, so we're going to blend this out. I think that might be it for the Mark Claire thing. But that was basically the whole argument. Like, you're wasting your time doing politics. Yeah, well, I'm waking people up, which you admit is valuable. Yeah, but you're wasting, you know what, Jason? Increase your wealth, power, and influence. That is not everybody's highest priority. Maybe you think it should be, but people just are, stubbornly different from each other, God damn it. We aren't all the same. And I'm going to get all corny, but I believe it's true. On your deathbed, I don't think very many people regret not making more money. Maybe they do. But a lot of times they regret not having better relationships with people. And I'm not saying you can't do both. But I'm just saying, if I had to prioritize one, and there is an opportunity cost, if you're concentrating on making money, you can't concentrate as much on relationships. It's just a fact. We all have the same amount of time, as Jason is fond of saying. I prefer to prioritize other things. That's just me. Though I wouldn't scoff at having a lot of money as well. Actually, right now, with how poor I am right now, I realize how much it sucks not to have a lot of money. It sucks not to know how I'm going to pay my mortgage next month. I don't know how I'm going to pay my mortgage next month. And it sucks. Which is why I've been whoring myself on, I mean, no one cannot say, at least, that I'm not a hard worker and I'm not a go-to. Because I certainly have been working my ass at trying to build my YouTube thing. Been working daily. Okay, I'm just sticking some black here. And yeah, Charlotte Tilbury is beautiful, isn't it? But it is expensive. Oh, shit. I got a little bit on the corners here, so let's just balance it out. This Charlotte Tilbury black shadow is just fantastic. But it is having a little bit of fallout. Okay. Now let's move on to Mr. Kingpill. And this is very, very infuriating. If I remember the quotes correctly, I need to get some liquid eyeliner as well.
So this here, I think, like, I just want to take that clip and just like staple it to my forehead on the internet, metaphorically speaking. Just any time that somebody asks, well, like, why can't we just get into political parties? Why not do, what's the message, or what do you guys actually have? Boom, this. Yeah. This is the message. This is where your focus should be. And I think the point that this really answered well, which is something that we've heard a lot, especially lately, is, well, okay, I see your guys' point, but why can't you just do both?
Right.
Why not do both of them? And he has a great analogy in there. It's, why can't you keep eating shit and just work out? Well, I mean, you can, but that if you're still doing that, then you clearly aren't actually prioritizing your health. If you're actually prioritizing your health, you'll stop eating shit and start working out. See, for me, I'm all or nothing. So I just eat like shit and don't work out. And so then it's like, well, hey, I'm completely consistent. And then eventually.
Okay, I want to stop there 1 second so I don't forget. And let me pull these off. And I need to blend out along the bottom there. But so he's going by a quote of Jason, and this just fundamentally misses the point again, is Jason said in response to Dave Smith, because he's talking about the same interview. So he's oh, wow, this is Inception. It's me reviewing him, reviewing the Mark Claire interview. So basically, Jason had said in response to Dave Smith saying, you can do both, you know, you can build your wealth and do politics, or you could do one or the other. And Jason in response said, that's like saying you can eat like shit and still work out. You could, but you're not going to get the most benefit from working out. And there's so many flaws there. A, it assumes that doing politics is like eating shit, which the fact is, Dave already proved it wasn't. You're waking people up. You are doing something productive. And it also assumes that if you're working out, your priority is to be a bodybuilder. Some people work out just to maintain a certain minimal health standard to have a decent life, not necessarily to be as fit as they can. So these are like, I just cannot believe the logical problems in what this guy is saying. You know, he's assuming a certain outcome. You want to be a bodybuilder, if we're going in analogies here, and that political action is shit, neither of which are proven. Of course, if your highest priority is to build the most wealth possible, then absolutely do not engage in politics or anything else. Never mind politics, anything that will take your attention away from building wealth. If building the most wealth is your goal in life, and I do not begrudge you that, I also don't think that's evil or wrong or anything immoral, then do that. But that means also, by their own analogy, he almost would have to say, like, spending time building relationships must be like eating shit because it's taking time away from you building wealth. It's like, are these guys really this simplistic? Or are they just... Now, I don't think Mr. Kingpill is bitter against not being the political savior. I do think that's part of what's going on with Jason. I think this guy is just trying to build a name for himself as this new movement. Like, he just wants to be the Mr. Intellectual of this new movement. And I still am going to be doing my word salad Kingpill skit. I just haven't bought the props for it yet. But I will be doing that because that's how badly I just cannot stand word salad. And the guy who confronted me on Twitter, who I'm saying might have somewhat of a halfway decent point about bringing people's personal relationships into things, he's also a Mr. Pretentious, arrogant as fuck word salad guy. But that doesn't mean he can't still have a good point. But I just can't stand pretentiousness. I don't know why. It just really turns me off in a really, really bad way. I do not like it. I do not like people who put on airs. And I know some people do it unintentionally. Some people think I do unintentionally because I have a large vocabulary, and sometimes having a large vocabulary can come off that way. I really try not to come off that way, and I think my healthy sprinkling of fuck this, fuck that kind of brings down the pretentious level a bit, you know? It brings it down to street level, so, you know, there's a feature, not a bug, of my cussing. Okay, now I need to put on some eyelashes, which I think I have right here, and let's continue on this Kingpill clip.
Someday down the road, tomorrow, I'll flip both switches at the same time, and then I'll eat well and work out. But there's no point in doing just one because you're just working against yourself.
Oh no, there's a point in doing just one. Are you trying to say that's the dumbest statement I've ever heard? So are you saying if I happen to be someone who eats Burger King every day, that, fuck it, I just shouldn't work out? You don't think it will help counter my Burger King eating at all? I mean, I've never heard anyone say that, well, unless you're doing X, you shouldn't work out. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Did he even listen to himself? I didn't even notice this when I first extracted out this clip, how dumb that was.
It's right. You might as well. What is it that Ron Swanson says? He says, never half-ass two things. You have to whole-ass one thing.
See, I think that working against themselves is something that libertarians enjoy psychologically. I came to that conclusion a while ago.
Okay, this is where this guy really started to piss me off. Okay, Kingpill annoys me a bit, but I think he's genuinely like a nice guy. I think he's trying to make a name for himself kind of on the backs of other people, you know, trying to make a name for himself by shitting on other people. But now this guy, maybe it's only because I started paying attention to him this episode, and I'm sorry I don't know his name. Maybe somebody could let me know. All he does so far in this episode is psychologically like think he's going to evaluate other people, like he's so much better, and oh well, this is, I think, libertarians, these, inferior people, they're just motivated by self-hatred, or they're motivated by this and that. And it's like, dude, what makes you think you know other people better than they know themselves? I mean, you just come off as a major just dick. And he's going to start here, and it's just like so much I'm better than you in the bad way type of, energy he's giving off here. And when people talk like that to me, I think they're compensating for insecurity. I generally think when people have to like psychoanalyze other people this way, and just like whole groups, and just like really pretentiously put them down, that it's coming from a deep place of insecurity. I could be wrong about that. His name's Steven Messina. Thank you. Hopefully I'll remember that. I'm so terrible with names. But the way he's coming off here, and he was hilarious earlier in this episode, because earlier in this episode, like someone was just like ragging on him for his fashion choice, and they were just going with it, like with that tank top he's wearing, and it was hilarious. But when he started talking here, that was it. I was like, what? Like, dude, you're just coming across as a massive tool. And as a massive tool who doesn't have a massive tool, if you get what my drift here, okay? Let me find my cursor. All right.
And it was actually like, when I was thinking about this, like the caucus takeover, and like I've said before, I think that there's a comfort in putting yourself as far behind the 8 ball as possible. You get all the satisfaction of sort of having a challenge, but there's really no consequence to it, because even if you take over, even if your caucus like takes over like a tiny ineffectual party, you're really not expected to do anything. But you can you can LARP a bunch of stuff. You can talk a bunch of shit basically. And
oh, wait a minute. You can LARP a bunch of stuff and you could talk a bunch of shit, but you're not expected to do anything? You mean kind of like you two guys sitting here talking on the internet? What are you doing besides just talking a bunch of shit and LARPing? I mean, it seems like you just described yourself. Why are you sitting here just putting down the efforts of other people? At least they're doing something. You might not agree that what they're doing is going to be effectual, but hell, they're like, that's more than most of the people in this country who don't do anything. So you're deciding to put down a bunch of eager young people who are actually doing something. You're just a massive tool, acting like that, like you're better. And what are you doing? You're just sitting here talking a bunch of shit LARPing. It's like, look in the mirror, dude. And, I thought the jokes earlier about your tank top were funny, but now I'm going to like just go there. Who's LARPing in your prissy little tank top? I don't normally go there, but you're going after my friends now. So I'll go there because at least they're fucking doing something.
There's no real cost.
There's time cost, which Jason already said. What do you mean there's no real cost? There's the cost of failing. There's the cost of losing your self-esteem. There's relationship costs. There's money costs. There's effort costs. What's the cost to you? Just sitting there in your little man bun and your girl shirt, online. I mean, really. I don't normally like. I thought you were cool earlier in the show, and I actually do like man buns, so I'm just being facetious here. But listen, if we're gonna just go and pick on people, come on. I mean, God, could you be a bigger dick? Okay, now I'm trying to get my eyelash on, so the ladies know. You put your glue. It puts the glue on the eyelash, or it gets the hose again. You put the glue on the fake eyelash. Oh, Mike's. Oh, 1 second, Mike. I'm gonna have to take a break in a minute. I forgot Seebeck is here. Let me stick this eyelash on, and then let me go let Mike Seebeck in, and you guys are gonna have to talk amongst yourselves. Give me 1 second. Sorry to scream in the mic. 1 second. He's outside. Now see, I'm glad the window's open now. Okay. The eyelash is on. I hear Lydia's with him. Okay. The eyelash is on. Let me go let them in. Let them upstairs here so we will have audience participation. You guys talk amongst yourself. And I'm going to go get them. And yeah. Be right back. Going downstairs. Sorry. Okay, here I am back. Okay, I'm back now. Let's do the other clip. Okay. 1 second. Next clip.
To you personally, well, not, you don't think there's a cost to you personally, depending on how far you go with it. But the point that we have is that, man, there might really be a cost to you. Not just to
I got my comments right here.
You personally, but also your ideas, not just to your, where you want to see society go, but also maybe to you personally. I think that's where Matthew's going with it. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, Popular Liberty said the joy is in. He said there's something in the contrarian mindset that is counterproductive to its own ends. The joy is in complaining about stuff, not in fixing it.
Right, and that's why you'll always just only see them pointing out hypocrisy. Whenever they see it. And aside from the fact that I don't know what there's a lot of questions I have about, like, what's the upbringing of, like, a lot of these people?
Oh my God!
Where there's this kind of shock of just like, man, politics is or like in a two-party system, you have to pick between two things, and neither one of them are my favorite.
Okay. Oh my God. Okay, and they said hi, Mike. Oh, I got too much glue on this. I need to. This guy. Oh my God, this guy. Yeah, that's what I need to do. I need to. Did you say meth? Oh, you said merch commercials. I read that as meth commercials. But yeah, I do need to create. Well, a meth commercial would be good too. A merch commercial for when I need to run off. That's a good idea. Isn't he such a smug punk? He's like, how are these people raised? It's like, what? And like, oh my God. Oh, and then maybe there will be a cost. Well, which is it? Is there not a cost, or is there a cost? Like, you just contradicted yourself. And you were just talking about a bunch of people you don't even know. And now you're going into how they were raised because they're upset that the two-party system doesn't represent them. Oh my God. That is just so absolutely insane. So I'm going to continue this, and you'll get to hear Mr. like prissy shirt man bun go on again about how badly you were all raised, I guess.
It's just like, where'd you fucking come from, man? Like, I don't know. Did you like exclusively watch Disney movies? I don't. It's so weird because I think like past a certain age or development or whatever it is,
picking on libertarians.
That becomes, if you live enough life, it's just like, oh yeah, man, there's a couple things we can do, and we just got to figure out which one sucks the least. And so this is not like getting the nitty gritty of like, oh, well, should we even participate?
Okay, right there. And they've determined the thing that sucks the least is to join a minor party. Guy, like, and you're like ragging on their parents. I don't know. This was just like the shittiest take ever. I got this eyelash on, and JJ says hello, Mr. Seebeck.
Hi, JJ.
And Mr. Seebeck says hello. All right, so we got the eyelashes on. I just need to curl my hair, and we're gonna get ready to do the cult. But let's continue this clip where he's gonna be psychoanalyzing you guys. What a twat.
Political system, but just the notion that a situation exists where there are two things that, you know, are both non-ideal, you know, sort of being like an affront to you.
Yeah.
That sends up some fucking flags for me.
Well, you want to know what? Your prissy little shirt and man bun sends up some flags for me if we're going to go there. I mean, my God. Yeah, it's an affront because it's those two options that run our country. It should be an affront to everybody. Like, God, my God, this guy. Okay, you're going to like be getting a close look at my pores here for a minute while I figure out how to plug this in. All right. That wasn't so bad. Okay.
Hi.
Heat up. And Mike says hi. Oh, well, it's right here. It's like kind of to the side.
I was like,
oh, your hand isn't even in the picture.
barely in the picture.
Yeah, barely. I don't know how many more clips of this we have. It might be the last one. 1 second here. So get your super chats in before I go. One more clip, and that will be perfect to. And now you can see to get my hair curled.
Sneaking the photobomb.
Yeah. And then we'll go down and do the cult. I'm sorry, I thought I timed this better, Mike. But
Well, okay, we were running a little late up in Littleton too, so.
Oh, so I'm leaving later than. Oh my God, it's almost 1:30. I really did fuck up the timing. All right, so one more clip and we'll be good.
The fact that the libertarian. That was loud.
What the hell was that?
The fact that the libertarian experience, when applied to the real world,
Oh, here's where he gets
the
going,
fact
yeah.
that it has no clear praxis and no clear.
Okay, I gotta stop.
No clear what?
I know. Anyone who uses the word praxis immediately, it's like, dude,
Dude, this is not Star Trek.
you're right. It's like, why don't you use words that people are going to understand what you're saying rather than words that are just going to make you, you know, sound like you're smarter than you are. But the fact is, it actually does have a clear praxis. Okay, but let's just, that right there immediately turned me off.
Praxis is a moon of the Klingons in Star Trek that blew up in Star Trek 6.
Real world evidence of what it looks like in a compelling way.
It actually does. We've had a lot of real world evidence, in our personal lives, because somebody once asked, it was on Clubhouse, asked me, how do you, well, like he had the wrong idea of what anarchy is. And he asked me, well, how do you practice anarchy in your personal life? And I said, everyone practices anarchy in their personal life. And he was like, touche, after he thought about it a bit. If he's trying to say that there isn't some large real world yet example of some libertarian society, okay, touche. But any next step in human evolution, be it social evolution, political evolution, is the next step because it doesn't exist yet. Before slavery was eliminated, it existed everywhere.
It still does exist.
You know what I'm trying to
Yeah.
get at. I really trying to make a point with that. Like in this country, even the example of chattel slavery existed everywhere. There was no wide world example of it just being virtually eliminated until it was. That's just the way things happen. before, and I'm not saying democracy is a good thing, but before, we adopted this huge republic, there wasn't a real world example of it other than the smaller Republic of Athens, which wasn't even like ours. So that's not an argument against a new thing. It just, all you're saying is new thing is a new thing. Okay.
That draws people and that people are incentivized to participate in. The fact that it has no real world manifestation means that it ultimately is a suit that anybody can wear, because it becomes the weapon that can be used against anybody. Like you're violating freedom. Freedom and liberty are things that can be construed to mean just about anything from it.
Okay, while it is true that words and concepts can be perverted, it doesn't mean the words and concepts aren't good. Anything can be perverted.
Yes.
So that doesn't make the concept a suit. It just means it's something that needs to be defended. But he's correct. Yeah, those words can be perverted. But their intention in libertarian philosophy does mean something. The fact that people deny that doesn't mean it doesn't mean something. That's like claiming religion doesn't mean something. Even if you don't believe in it, if somebody's an atheist, it still has a definition to the adherents of the religion, even if the heretics within that religion pervert it. That's the reason why they're called heretics, rather than just,
as we know all too well.
Yeah, it's, well, we are the heretics, actually.
And to point something else out, he's saying there's no real world examples of libertarianism. Has he been in a grocery store lately?
Hey, everybody practices anarchy in their personal life, as I said.
It's a walking proof of the anarchist perspective, because people ignore these arrows on the floor for which direction they're going down. They drive their carts on the left side of the aisle, the right side of the aisle, the middle of the aisle. They never go the same direction as everybody else. It's a free for all. And you have market placement of products on the shelves at the same time. So you have free markets, plus you have free organization of how to do things. Spontaneous organization. So yeah, you want libertarianism? Go to King Soopers.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that people...
go to your Piggly Wiggly or your Hy-Vee or Kroger or your Safeway. That's it right there in a nutshell.
Yeah, the fact that people are rejecting it isn't a disproof of the theory. I mean, it might make things, it might be, but it just means it's more difficult. And the fact is, if we were promoting these sorts of ideas in early America, it would have had much wider acceptance. A lot of this is time bound. That's not an argument against the truth claim. It might be an argument against how easy it's going to be to implement, whether you should spend your time doing this because the task is so hard, but it's not an argument against its truth claim.
It's an argument for evolution over time.
Correct. Let's see what else Mr. Man Bun has to say.
Somebody's perspective.
Oh, that was it. Okay. And that was the final clip. It's just
Hi, that's my hand over here.
It's that they spend more of their time just arguing against something than arguing for something. And again, with this guy, it's different than Jason Stapleton. I think he's trying to make a name for himself as this new and exciting thing, and I'm opposing this and I'm opposing that, and he's a clout chaser, particularly Mr. Man Bun. He's a clout chaser because he thinks he's going to get notoriety, and perhaps I'm giving him a little bit of it by criticizing the Mises Caucus. But honestly, dude, I am going to go there. I don't think most of the guys in the Mises Caucus are particularly threatened by a tank top wearing man bun dude. Just don't, And as I said earlier this show, before you opened your mouth, I thought the tank top and the man bun were cute. And now I'm just ragging on you because I think it's funny, not because I really have a problem with your tank top and man bun, because I don't.
Speaking as a hetero cis male, if you want to use those terms, give me the Gregory Peck, Cary Grant look any day.
Yeah, see, I thought the tank top.
And that's from a guy who's got long hair and dresses in tie dye.
I thought the man bun and the tank top were fine until he opened his mouth. You know, it was more the ugliness or the dickishness didn't come from his clothes. They came from his ideas. But anyway, that is it. Hope you guys will join us in a few. We're going to go downstairs, get set up, do the cult of RONR, and then I've got other shows for you tonight. This is basically an all-day broadcasting day for me because I got so much content. All right, I'm going to put in the closing credits, and we're going to sign off.
One more.
What you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business.